Chapter 8 opens with a brief scene that follows up on the events of Chapter 7. The animals seem to remember a commandment about killing, and when they check out the actual commandment written on the barn, they find the statement, "No animal shall kill any other animal without cause." The story tells us that the animals accept this commandment as it's now written, although they admit they didn't remember those last two words being there. And just like the previous justification Squealer gave for the pigs being allowed to sleep in beds with sheets, just like that, those two words justify the killings that took place and hoodwink the animals into thinking that everything is still okay. The chapter moves on by giving a general description of what life on the farm is like on a day-to-day basis over the next course of months. Remember that now the animals are not only working the farm and collecting a harvest, they're rebuilding a windmill, and they're trying to build it on the same timetable that was originally established before it was knocked down. Needless to say, the animals are very busy and working very hard. Squealer keeps telling the animals that conditions are better than how they were under Jones, and the animals saw no reason to disbelieve him, especially as they could no longer remember very clearly what conditions had been like before the rebellion. What's interesting at this point is that just like we saw Snowball in the last chapter slowly morph into more of an idea than a reality, we see the same change taking place with Napoleon, but in the opposite direction. Napoleon is rarely seen in public anymore, the farm is transfixed by the apparent aura of his magnitude, giving him ridiculous titles like Father of All Animals, and attributing every good result, like how refreshing the water tastes, to Comrade Napoleon. Now, just as every bad thing that happens can be blamed on Snowball, every good thing that happens can be attributed to Napoleon. We're given a rather confusing glimpse into the politics Napoleon is engaging in with the neighboring farms, and a lot of time and attention is apparently given to the sale of a pile of timber, going so far as to spread misinformation about Frederick torturing his animals and training the pigeons to chant, "Death to Frederick." Of course, Napoleon ends up selling the timber to Frederick, and in so doing reverses course entirely and claims the lies about Frederick's torture were overblown and retrains the pigeons to chant, "Death to Pilkington." The pigs' idea here is to engage in what seem to be unnecessarily complicated negotiations. But of course, all of this tremendously backfires, as Napoleon claims all is due to the nefarious nature of human beings, and it turns out that Napoleon is cheated and the wood has been paid for with counterfeit money. This is all about the time that the animals, through tremendously hard work, finally complete the windmill. The animals are extremely proud and satisfied with their work on the windmill, as they should be. But thanks to Napoleon's mishandled negotiations in relations to the neighboring farms, Animal Farm is literally attacked by Frederick and a band of about 15 men, some of whom are armed with guns. The animals face a much more challenging battle than before, and are pushed back into hiding, while the humans are seen doing something rather mysterious around the newly constructed windmill. The animals doubt that there is anything that realistically could be done to their windmill since they had built it so strong. But it turns out that they're wrong. Benjamin the donkey is the first to catch on that they intended on literally blowing up the windmill with blasting powder. And this is exactly what happens. The windmill is blown to pieces and entirely destroyed. Upon seeing this, the animals are renewed with energy and attack the humans with reinvigorated valor, driving them from the farm, but feeling defeated that their efforts of 2 years have been completely demolished. The pigs do their best to turn this into a victory, firing the gun and raising the Animal Farm flag, but even Boxer is not convinced, and nothing can quite shake the feeling of defeat they are all experiencing. Squealer tries telling the animals that it doesn't matter that the windmill is destroyed. "We will build another windmill. We will build 6 windmills if we feel like it," he says. But to the animals, this means more work and more hardship ahead. The chapter concludes with a darkly humorous scene. The pigs discover alcohol and get drunk. Of course, they have no idea what they've encountered, and the next day they are all brutally hungover. Things get so bad that Squealer actually announces to the animals that Napoleon is dying, then happily recants when Napoleon recovers by the end of the next day, and the pigs work with Whimper to learn more about brewing and distilling alcohol, and they convert the patch of land originally set aside for the animals' retirement into a barley field. The pigs seem to have learned very quickly what alcohol is. We're given a short incident in which Squealer is caught clattering off a ladder next to the barn wall with white paint, obviously trying to change that pesky commandment about not drinking alcohol. Unfortunately, none of the animals could form any idea as to what this meant, and are surprised when they find a few days later that the commandment now reads, "No animal shall drink alcohol to excess." And just like that, the very last scene in this chapter mirrors the opening scene, and 2 little words are added to the commandment to permit a dose more luxury to the pigs and a dose more tyranny to the rest.